So let's check out this video by Cheets.
I think Gen.
1 second. Let's see. The sad truth about Gen Z. I mean, it can also apply to millennials as well, but I think they got a little bit worse because a lot of them are graduating from high school, not high school, from college now. And next year will be the oldest, well, the first Zoomers to turn 30. So yeah, the job market's crap, and prospects is not looking too good. So it's just like a crap show right now. You know what I mean? Let's see what he got to say by Cheats. I was going to say Cheeks.
Z gets written off as dramatic a lot, but if you actually look at the stuff people our age are scared of, it kind of makes sense. This isn't random anxiety or being soft. A lot of it is very real, very structural, and very hard to ignore. We're the first generation to grow up watching everything get documented, archived, priced out, automated, and judged in real time. Housing feels unreachable, relationships feel unstable, one wrong move can live online forever, and on top of that, you're constantly being compared to people who look perfect.
God, constant relationships is like, it can also apply to us as well, bro. Like, every type of relationship is just basically a meaningless venture, man. It's like just a quick, like, situationship, I guess it's called, where there's nothing substantial and nothing long term, if that makes any sense. And some people just believe that it's not worth it because of how our society is going right now. You know, a lot of guys are like just not giving a damn about relationships and stuff like that. And a lot of girls are just like very flaky and wishy-washy. And among other things that I'm gonna mention, but I think y'all know what I'm talking about, that is just not allowing relationships to flourish and prosper because men just don't choose to do that. All right, I don't want to go into that red pill crap, but I think y'all know exactly what I'm talking about.
And you might get replaced by software tomorrow. So when people say Gen Z is anxious or paranoid, it's like, yeah, look at the environment. These aren't imaginary fears, they're just a logical reaction to the world we were handed. That's why I want to talk about the fears that actually define Gen Z. These are in no particular order, and some of these might seem more serious than others, but I think they're all valid in their own way, so I want to discuss them. Starting off, we have to discuss the fear of not owning a home, because this is ridiculous.
I don't want to drive.
That's also going to be me as a millennial. I'm never going to be able to get I'm never going to be able to own a home ever in life. I know I'm just going to be renting for the rest of my life unless I become a millionaire or or a blessing happens on YouTube and Twitch. I'm just going to be just renting till my dying days, unfortunately.
Housing prices down. I want to drive housing prices up.
A new survey found that 21% of respondents believe World War III is more likely to happen in the next 5 years than them buying a home. Nearly the same share think they'll be more likely to win the fucking lottery in the same time frame. I don't understand how it's possible that you have people entering the workforce in Gen Z in the United
I hate the lottery, bro. I hate that shit. I see, especially whenever they announce those huge, giant, mega million, mega lottos, or whatever you call it. I don't know what it's called in your own individual states, but here in NYC or New York, the Mega Million lottery pick, the biggest cash out was like 1.2 billion. And so many people and their mothers just go into these convenience stores and small stores just to get a lottery ticket that they know they're not going to win, spending God knows how much money on those shits. And I'd rather just buy a canned soda. I'd rather just buy like a chip or some chips or something like that. I'm never going to be doing what they do. I can't do it, you know, because the chance of me, the chance of me getting struck by lightning is a lot higher than me winning a 1.2 million or just any lottery winning in general. So it ain't worth it.
United States that are not even sure if they're going to get to have a house. Gen Z is the first generation that never had a realistic path into home ownership. Like, by the time we hit adulthood, housing prices were already completely disconnected from wages.
And rent prices are high as well.
There was no buy cheap early phase that older generations had. At the same time, rent became so expensive that it had stopped being a stepping stone and it turned into a permanent drain on income, making it almost impossible to save for a down payment. On top of that, Gen Z isn't competing with other first-time buyers anymore. We're competing with corporations and investors who can pay cash and don't care about interest rates, add student loan debt, higher mortgage rates, and wages that haven't kept up, and even people who do everything right still can't afford to buy. And because jobs are concentrated in expensive cities, the just move somewhere cheaper argument usually means giving up career opportunities. So
that's also dangerous too. Hey, if a company asks, if you get hired by a company and you wanna, but it's in a different city and they're not remote, and they're asking you to move into another city or state, I personally, I wouldn't do it, because again, look at what's going on right now, constant layoffs and stuff like that. What I've seen a TikTok video of this girl who just moved into a new state because of job opportunity. I think she got hired for a new job. They laid her off after 4 weeks. And she just moved there. Not worth it. I would never do that ever in my life. I either tell them, yo, man, listen, I'm sorry, but I do not want to relocate to another location, do not want to relocate to another state and stuff like that. At best, I'll commute maybe an hour at best, but I'm not going to be going to another state just for job opportunities, because you can get rid of me easily like that. You can get rid of me like that. And then what? I'm just going to be stuck here with my dick in my hand trying to figure out where am I going to find another job, or if I have to just pack my stuff up and go back home. No, I can't do that. Never.
A lot of people are stuck choosing between financial survival now or the possibility of owning a home later, with no option that actually feels stable. According to the National Association of Realtors, in 2025, the median age of first-time home buyers in the U.S. reached a record high of 40 years old, up from 38 years old in 2024. Let's say that you just turned 19.
Dude, I'm close to 40 than I am to 30, bro. I just turned 35 a couple of days ago. Actually, almost a week now. So I'm close to that age range. I still can't I still can't buy a house. I can't even rent on my own, bro. That's how much our society's cooked right now. And I'm a millennial, not even a zoomer.
In 2025 instead of staying 18 back in 24. Your paycheck probably didn't jump much. You're still young. You got entry-level wages, maybe a tiny raise if you're lucky. You're still scraping by on that starter salary while rent devours half of it. But in that 1 year, from 2024 to 25, the housing market cranked up in difficulty. So congrats, you ate.
Dude, I don't remember this that often.
In that 1 year, from
the 2008 housing market collapse, I don't remember that because I was 17 years old and I was able to find a job pretty easily. But I guess, or maybe older millennials, the ones who were like, the oldest one would have been what? Like the oldest millennial would have been like 1981, 9101, would have been like 26, 27 around there. I think he could have, unless he like bought a house really early, he probably would have gotten hit. But people who had money back then, Gen Xers and the boomers, they probably would have been scooping houses up just for like, just dirt cheap back in those days, you know? But me as a 17-year-old kid in 08, I wasn't thinking about that. So
2024-25, the housing
actually I was working at McDonald's at that time.
Market cranked up in difficulty. So congrats, you aged 1 year and your income barely moved, but the bar to buy your first place effectively rose about 5%. You, for the crime of being 18 years old, are now punished with a 5% difficulty increase in experiencing an essential life purchase. Moving on from that, we have to talk about Gen Z and isolation and loneliness. It's not just that we're anxious about relationships, we are statistically,
AKA post-COVID, post-Rona, whatever you want to call it,
more isolated than any generation before us. Around 70% of Gen Z report feeling lonely or socially isolated at least some of the time. Even though we're supposedly the most connected generation in history, nearly half of us say that we have...
Yeah, we are, but nothing beats talking to a person face to face. Human connection. There's nothing beats that, you know? No, like, I rarely ever see a lot of these kids just going to the mall and just hanging out anymore, just doing some window shopping. I rarely ever see that. Back in my generation, oh my god, I sound like a fucking old head. Like between 07 and 09, and even in the early 2010s, when I was in my early 20s, just going to the mall, hanging out was a thing. Going to the mall, we didn't have money. We just maybe to get some like a little bit of food here and there. We're never to buy anything unless like we really needed something. But all we did was go to the mall, hang out, just talk shit, like talk to girls sometimes, or we just go to the park and just play ball. You know, I rarely ever see that now. I rarely ever see Gen Z doing any of the stuff I just mentioned. Like whenever I go to a park, I only see mostly just like my generation or even older generations, and very few Gen Z even doing that. Like a lot of, I guess a lot of the Gen Zers are just on Discord, or they're just gaming all day. Like they just don't touch grass. I highly doubt that's the case, you know, but there is some merit to what he's saying. Like it's sad. It's sad because yeah, we're supposed to be connected with through the internet and stuff like that, but nothing beats human to human interaction, like flesh to flesh. You know what I mean?
Fewer friends than we'd like, and over half of us say that we have few or no friends they can rely on for support. That is definitely more than just being quiet and introverted. And it gets crazier when you look at romantic.
But it's not that sad. Actually, I'm kind of like that, you know? I have little friends. I have a lot of acquaintances, but little friends, like true friends, you know?
Life too. Huge numbers of Gen Z report struggling to find partners, and many young men especially have little to no relationship experience. A pattern that's been documented in recent surveys showing that roughly 44% of Gen Z men didn't date in their teen years.
Dude, I never dated in my teen years.
At all, which is way higher than previous generation.
You know, I know, I'll take that back. No, I'll take that back. My first girlfriend was when I was 19 years old. It only lasted 8 months, 19, 20 years old, around there. So yeah, and then I didn't have another sexual encounter until I was You know, I'm not going to mention that. What I'm talking about. I was just 19 or 20 years old.
Some studies even show that Gen Z reports loneliness nearly double what older generations did at the same age, making us statistically the loneliest generation ever. So the fear isn't just being single, it is feeling isolated, disconnected, lacking deep friendships and real relationships in a generation that is
Wasn't that serial killer who was infatuated by that fucking cartoon by Danny Phantom? Am I tripping or not?
supposed to be more connected than ever. Isolation is not just bad emotionally, it has real consequences. When people don't form relationships, they don't build families or have kids, bloodlines just end. Like, that's not dramatic, that's literal. Whole family lines stop because people never find a partner, never feel stable enough, or never even get close to that stage of life. And it's already happening. Birth rates are collapsing, marriage is down, long-term relationships are down, and it's also the case that Gen Z is on track to be one of the most childless generations in modern history. And it isn't because people hate the idea of family, it is because isolation, financial stress, and social disconnection makes it feel impossible. On a personal level, isolation wrecks people. It is linked to higher depression, worse physical health, shorter life expectancy, and higher anxiety. And it's sad because the longer you're alone, the harder it is to re-enter social life. People lose confidence and your social skills dull. Suddenly, normal human connection feels intimidating, so isolation stops being a fake.
Yo, I know what this picture is all about, bro. This is Asmongold's room, if I'm not mistaken. Me personally, I can't live like that. I cannot, you know, especially if, like, me personally, my room is so damn small. I can't. His room at least is big, you know. Wait, no, I'm lying. Hold on. No, this isn't Asmongold's room. I'm lying. No, I don't want to put any words in people's mouths. Let me know if you guys are Asmongold fan. Is this Asmongold's like actual room? Because it looks a little bit too bright. Because I do know, like, he lives in like his gaming setup and like where he does all this stuff is in like an attic location. So I don't want to say anything stupid there or put words in people's mouths or whatever, or like call somebody out of the name. I don't want to do that. So if that's the case or not, if it's not, then my bad. But I can't live like this, especially now. I have a small room which is the size of a walk-in closet. Like, I don't have the luxury of having chips, shit ton of soda bag, or even a fucking table, bro. My little table is not even that. I can barely fit a table here to hold my my PC and my camera, you know. So I don't know how people can live like this.
And it turns into a loop. On a completely different note, getting canceled is a real fear for Gen Z because everything we've ever said online is saved somewhere. A bad joke, an old opinion, or a message taken out of context can resurface years later and follow you around permanently. A lot of people our age grew up posting online before they fully understood consequences, and if there's no reset button for that, even if you change, mature, or clearly aren't the same person anymore, the record stays. When someone gets canceled, it usually isn't public or dramatic. Most of the time it's social. People stop responding, invitations disappear, opportunities dry up quietly. You're not confronted, you're just excluded. Because of that, people self-censor constantly. They delete posts, avoid saying what they think, or stay silent altogether. Not out of dishonesty, but because one mistake can outweigh everything else that you are. That fear changes how people act, and it makes people cautious, filtered, and tense in spaces that are supposed to be social. Moving on from that, being ugly is also a real fear for Gen Z because physical appearance affects social outcomes more than it used to. Dating apps, social media, and online platforms prioritize.
Unfortunate reality, that's how it is now. But especially, it's not only just about women too. Like, a lot of people say that us mostly women are superficial, all that stuff, like with the filters and all that stuff. No, it happens to men too. It matters. Physicality, or like being physically appealing, it matters to us humans, you know? We gravitate more to people who are better looking or who are beautiful and stuff like that. It is what it is, the unfortunate reality, you know? Some people, for example, some girls don't have like the cheekbone or the hourglass body, and when it comes to men, some men we don't have, but they can build up to that. No, actually they can't. What am I saying? Some women don't have the cheekbones or the nice hair or whatever the hell, and some men don't have the Brad Pitt or the Tom Cruise jawline that it's a lot sought after. That's why you see so many people mewing or like chewing those rubber ball shits that like tighten your jaw muscles, or that guy that breaks his it's not a TikToker that breaks his bone on his like cheeks or his jaw so they could like recover more or something like that. I don't even know. I just saw that like in passing, bro. But beauty does matter. It matters to both men and women. And if you're ugly, you're basically like he just mentioned, you're chopped, unfortunately.
Face.
And also for men, the biggest factor that affects us men, a lot of people don't like to say this, or a lot of people like to fucking cope about it, but hair. A lot of fucking, I've been seeing for some reason, I don't know what it is, I've been seeing so many men, young men, lose their fucking hair. Like going bald so young. Like how is that even possible? Like what is going on with their eating habits that they're just losing their hair at 17? You don't lose your hair in your teenage years, bro. How is that possible? Like, me as an old man at 35 years old, I still have like 80%, 85 to 90% of my hair. It only went back just a little bit, like about an inch, and that's only to temples, but I still have it. Surprisingly, I don't know how, since, you know, and again, it's mostly genetic. Everybody knows that. But it's just seeing so many guys losing their hair at such a young age, that shit affects us. Hell, and not only that, it also affects us when we get older too. Like, we've had our hair for a long time, for our whole life, and we're just gonna lose it like that. Like, that shit has some psychological effects on it, and we have no choice but to what? They're gonna say what? Shave it off or do some of that surgery shit. I don't know. It's like leave a scar on the back of your head or some shit like that. Like, but deep down, that shit hurts. We just accept it. They just accept it. Excuse me. But hair for men is tied to beauty for us men and for women, but it hurts a lot more for men because we tend to lose our hair.
Is first, which means people get judged immediately before anything else about them matters.
Do you know, you're the sort of person I could show you a picture of Paris Hilton and you'd say, what if she turns out to be intelligent? But what if she did?
Gen Z spends more time looking at attractive people than any generation before. Your feed is filtered with edited photos, filters, cosmetic work, and ideal body types. Over time, this changes what people consider normal and what they consider...
I think that's the guy, what I'm referring to. The guy who just breaks his face muscles to develop it or something like that. I think that's the guy. If not, then correct me, please.
acceptable.
So I actually do have a new lean maxing strategy that's quite controversial. What I did was I basically blasted a ton of different Adderalls and amphetamines.
Dating apps reinforce this. Matches are based almost entirely on photos. Many people get very little feedback or attention, which leads to them assuming that the problem is how they look. Rejection.
Oh yeah, and apparently, let me see if he mentions it.
Becomes frequent and impersonal. Likes, views, comments, and followers turn attractiveness into numbers. People can see exactly how much attention others receive and can compare it to themselves directly. This affects behavior. People avoid posting photos, stop approaching others, hesitate to date, and become more self-conscious in public. Appearance anxiety becomes constant instead of situational. For Gen Z, looking unattractive feels like a permanent disadvantage rather than a temporary insecurity. Lastly, we have being...
Okay. Also, something that affects men mostly, specifically, height. Hair and height are really fucking big, because the other stuff you can fucking change. I mean, if you're fat, lose some fucking weight, go to the gym, eat right, or cut down the calories. That's easy to do. But your height, you're basically, it is what it is. Once you have a certain, if your genetic state that you're not gonna be 6 feet, you're fucking cooked. Unfortunately, it shouldn't be that way, because I'm only 5'10". I don't know how I'm 5'10", because my mom is 5'3", and my pops was 5'6", I think. So me being 5'10" was kind of like a blessing, you know, but not really. But it is, but not really, because I did everything when I was younger to be tall. I did everything under the sun to be fucking tall. I worked out. I played basketball. I ate like stinky bullshit green broccoli, like vegetables and shit, just so I could get the mineral to grow. It turned out years later that it didn't mean shit, because if you have the genetics to become tall, then you're going to be tall. If you don't, then you're basically not going to be tall. Same thing with hair, bro. You could take care of your hair, do everything right with it, like not butcher it or do stupid shit to it. But if you're genetically predisposed to losing your hair, doesn't mean shit. Like, all the stuff that you do is just a little bit extra, but that doesn't do anything. Like snake oil, you know what I mean? Like, how many people you see on the streets that are homeless or like really fucking obese, but they have a full head of like gorgeous hair? And how many people do you see that are like fit specimen of a fit human being, a specimen, like a fit specimen, like a Greek body, you know? But then again, he's bald as a motherfucker. How many people do you see like that? Or how many people you see a really good looking dude, but he's really short, and then you see like a not so conventionally attractive man, but he's like 6'5" or 6'6". You know, it's all about genetics, apparently. All about genetics.
Replaced by technology, and that's a real fear for Gen Z, because automation and...
This is a fear too of mine. I literally work in the tech sector right now, and I'm busting my ass, working. And I had that fear, like, oh my God, like they might try to replace me and stuff like that, because I have to use it. I have to use AI in my day-to-day. Like, my company kind of like pushes that, even though sometimes I could just do it on my own without using AI, but my company's like, they're like, I better see you use it, or I'm gonna get like a call into the office. So I just try to keep my head down, But I'm trying to find something else, because I need some health insurance, and I'm tired of paying out of pocket for health insurance just to pay the bare minimum.
AI are hitting right as we're trying to build careers. A lot of people
Well,
are
not only that, I also want, to progress as well. I don't want to just be one of those people.
spending years learning skills that software is now able to do faster, cheaper, and at scale. This creates constant uncertainty. Even people who are competent and hardworking don't feel secure because usefulness is no longer permanent. Skills expire faster than they used to, and staying relevant feels like a moving target instead of a stable path. Like, AI changes how people value themselves. When software companies can replicate creative work, problem solving, or communication, people start questioning what makes them necessary, and that leads to even more anxiety about being interchangeable, disposable, or replaceable. Anyway, I know I didn't get to cover everything in this video, so we'll do 10,000 likes for a part 2. If you guys enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and checking out my
I like this guy. Thank you, Cheets. Sad truth. It's not just for Gen Z, though. It's for where millennials are also getting the short end of the stick as well, especially if you were born like in the 90s.